Hello friends, welcome to Silan Software. In this video, I will give the clarity about Python constructors and destructors. Very simple concepts. First of all, we will know constructors. Okay, so I can write a constructor is a built-in function, is a built-in function or method, whatever you can say, that is double underscore init double underscore. So in Python, a constructor is a function. A constructor is a built-in function named as double underscore init double underscore. So what is the purpose of a constructor? The constructor is used to initialize instance variables or to initialize data members or objects. We will say initialization means when the value assigning to a variable. Then what is the benefit of a constructor? Why we will use constructor? The constructor executes when an object is creating, which is the main advantage, because we know in object oriented programming context, when a method or when a function is invoking by an object, then function definition will execute. But constructor is a such built-in function, it is executing automatically. This is the advantage. We will see. Then in Python there are two types of constructors, like zero arg constructor or default constructor and parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor. We will see. The constructor taking no arguments is known as zero arg constructor, and the constructor taking parameters is known as parameterized constructor. We will see. So these are some points about constructor. Okay. So these are some points about constructor. So overall, a constructor is a function. It is a built-in function or a developed function. So now we will see zero arg constructor or default constructor. Suppose class employee. I will define a class, or I will represent a class. Let my class name is employee. Now I will define a constructor. So since constructor is a function, so we know that function is preceded by the keyword def, double underscore init, double underscore. Then one parameter is mandatory that we have to specify, that is self parameter. The self keyword directly refers to the current object. So whether the function requiring argument or requiring no argument, that is not a matter. The matter is any function when we define inside a class, so self parameter, it is mandatory that we have to specify. So whatever the data member, if we will consider, so data member we will access by the self keyword using dot operator, because it is directly referring to the object. So object containing class property. So whatever the object is containing variables, so that variables we access by self keyword. So here we are defining zero arg constructor, apart self parameter, no argument I will take. Suppose one output statement I will write Python or constructor created. Suppose one message I am writing constructor created. So now constructor, one constructor I define. Now I came out from the class employee. So one point we have written how the constructor will execute. So when an object is creating, in second steps I will create an object. Let object name is obj equals to class name employee parenthesis. So this line is the object declaration. Obj is an object of type employee, or obj is an employee type of object. So when this line executing, so constructor executing automatically. So if the class employee containing constructor, the constructor it will execute automatically. You see, I will hit run. You see, so constructor created. That means we got clarity when an object is creating. So if the corresponding class containing constructor, the constructor executing automatically. Then suppose another example I will take, particularly for zero arg constructor. Constructor purpose is initialization. Initialization means value assigning to a variable, that is initialization. Suppose same class, suppose I will take employee. Let's suppose one variable I am taking, suppose null, suppose. Now whatever the variable I will declare inside a class, this is instance variable. Now I will define a constructor, double underscore init, double underscore. I will specify the self parameter. Okay. So now whatever the instance variable, so here instance variable is name. Let the value of name is null. So this name value I will initialize, I will assign. How? The variable definitely I will access by the self keyword. So how I will write self dot name equals to, I can write a value, let zone boy. So initialization, and here the constructor taking no argument, so zero arg constructor. Okay, so this constructor is known as zero arg constructor, and the purpose of a constructor is initialization. Now we have an instance variable that is name, so we assigned a value to name. So how to access the name variable, that is self dot name. Now I will define a normal function. So I can write an output statement print. So I can write the name is, so the value of name is, that is self dot name. I will enter backspace, again backspace. So I came out from the class employee. So what I did here, so I defined an employee class, defining one zero arg constructor and one normal function I have defined. In step number 2, I will declare an object. That object name is obj equals to class name employee. So the concept is saying, when an object is creating, if the corresponding class containing constructor will execute automatically. So now when this line is executing, so this portion executing automatically. And so function, we know in object oriented programming context how a function definition is executing when that function we will call by the object. So I will write obj dot show function. So when show function is invoking by the object obj, then show function definition will execute. So based on this output statement, we will get the output message. You see, now I will hit run. So I got the name is John Doe. So this is all about zero arg constructor. So I hope everybody got clarity. Then we will go to parameterized constructor. Python parameterized constructor. Similarly, the constructor taking parameters. Same example I am taking class employee, and I am defining constructor double underscore init double underscore self. I will take parameters. Suppose name and one parameter, suppose employee ID and employee name. So here the constructor taking two argument apart self parameter. So the constructor taking arguments, that is known as parameterized constructor. Now, so once the arguments we have taken, so how that the value of employee ID, the value of employee name, I will give here just to see. So first of all, according to the concept, every data member we will access by the self keyword using dot operator, self dot employee ID. The value of employee ID, that is self dot employee ID. In this way, I will write the value of employee name similarly, that is self dot employee name equal to employee name. Okay, so now another function, suppose I am defining. So to write some output statement, print the employee ID is self dot employee ID. Similarly, another output statement, suppose I will write the employee name is self dot e name. So in this way, one parameterized constructor I define and one function I define normal function. I came out from the class. In my second step, I will declare an object. But here, in a parameterized constructor context, so at the time of declaration of an object, we have to give the value. So here, I will give the value let John do. You remember, at the time of declaration of an object, if the value we are passing here, the control will give the what the control got clarity. This is the case of parameterized constructor because constructor purpose is initialization. Anyhow, we have to assign the value to employee ID variable and to employee name variable. So when object is creating constructor executing automatically, so when this line will execute, this portion will execute automatically. So now 101 is the value of employee ID. John Doe is the value of employee name. Now this the value of employee ID 101 will assign into self.employee ID. Similarly, the value John Doe will assign into self.ename. So hence self.eid that is 101, self.ename that is John Doe. So when this is the normal function, so normal function definition will execute when this function I will call by the object. So I will write obj.show function. So when this line will execute, this portion will execute. So based on two output statement, we will see the output message. You see, I will hit on the employee ID. Employee ID is this. Employee ID is this. And employee name is John Doe. So I hope everybody got clarity. This is all about parameterized constructor. Then we will go to destructor. Python destructor. So like constructor, destructor is also a built-in function. So that is like constructor. Okay, so I will write in text option. So Python destructor. So I can write in this way like constructor, destructor, Python destructor. Python destructor is a built-in function that is double underscore del double underscore. It destroys object means it is releasing or it is deleting. It deletes object. That means object is a what? Object is a memory. So whatever the object has or will create, so that object will delete. Object will release by the destructor. So it deletes the object. So when that means when we delete object, the destructor will execute. For example, let class test. One constructor I am defining double underscore init double underscore. So I will write print, suppose constructor created. Then I will define a destructor double underscore del double underscore. Then this is self. One output statement I am writing destructor created. So test is a class that I defined, and inside test class one constructor I presented and also one destructor I defined. Now I will go to declare an object. Object name equals to class name parenthesis. Now obj is the object of test class. So we know that when an object is creating, constructor will execute automatically. So this portion will execute. Message will come constructor created based on the output statement. Similarly, how destructor will execute. So I have written when we will delete an object. Now obj is our object. Obj is the type of object. So when the object obj I will delete by using del keyword del obj. So in this way we can delete an object. Memory will release. So when this line will execute, then destructor will execute automatically. So this is destructor. Okay. So how I will know? So definitely when it will execute. So this is an output statement. This message will display destructor created. You see, now I will hit run. We got constructor created. That means constructor have executed. Then destructor created. So we got clarity. Destructor have executed. Okay. So this is all about destructor. So destructor releasing memory. But in Python, there is a garbage collection technique because garbage collection is done automatically. So I hope there is no use of destructor. Any garbage, the Python control will find automatically it will collect. Okay, guys. So this is all about constructor and destructor. So constructor is a built-in function. Destructor is also a built-in function. Constructor is double underscore init double underscore. Destructor is double underscore delete double underscore. Constructor creating, destructor destroying the objects. The purpose of a constructor is initialization, means the value assigning to instance variables. And the advantage is constructor is a such function which will execute automatically when an object is creating. Okay, so this is all about Python constructor and destructor. I hope everybody got clarity. Thank you.